So I was having a conversation today. Actually, let me start somewhere else. So today was it today or was it yesterday? Yesterday I rescued a dog from the pound, absolutely gorgeous Australian cattle dog. She'd been in there about a month in this little cage with all these other dogs. And from what I could gather, came from a good home, but the family was working long hours, had moved from the country into town, and they only had a small little yard for her out the back, a paved yard, and the dog was alone all day. And so the owners realised that the dog wasn't being looked after, and I'm not sure how it ended up in a pound and not advertised on a classified or something, but that's what happened. And the dog won't get out of the car. If you go anywhere near the car, it wants to jump in because it's afraid you're going to leave without it. It's afraid to be alone and abandonment. So it loves being in the car. It's in the car now sleeping. And it looks like it's going to be its home for a little while until we can help her with this little issue. It's abandonment issue. And we will. It'll happen. And she's a real sweetheart, and she's so happy to have found a home. And she's, if you don't know about the Australian cattle dogs or blue heelers, they're incredibly intelligent. I mean, she's almost got human intelligence. Her awareness is astounding. And her heart is beautiful, just so loving. And so grateful that she's out and about. She's probably gone for 5 or 6 hours walks in the last 24 hours. Had a couple of swims in the river and played with other dogs and ran around. She goes for a run and comes back and walks next to you and runs off again, comes back. Very good dog. Very beautiful. And there's something I've taught a few times, how to stop the mind. How to stop the mind from running. How to stop endless circular looping thoughts, endless thoughts. And this is an example. So the first walk I took Satsang, the dog, was around, there's a beautiful little town she was in, an hour from Perth, an hour from the city, called York. And she was in there at the pound with a lovely lady looking after her, a real country girl, cowboy hat, cowboy ute, just beautiful woman, just real down-to-earth lady. And I took her for a walk around the river, and I'm holding on to well, first off, she tried to jump through the window in my car, but she's about 15 to 20% overweight because she's been unexercised, and that failed miserably, and she ended up trying to scratch my car. So I opened the door for her, where she jumped in and bounced around my car for about a minute. Finally, we got her settled down in a towel on the chair, and we went down to the river, and I took her for a walk on the lead. I went and bought a lead first, of course, in a bowl, and she's pulling me everywhere, and I'm trying to train her, and just without pushing her too much, she's enjoying herself and getting her to control herself. And it was a constant pulling on the lead, constant being pulled. I took her near the riverbank. She nearly pulled me into the river as she wanted to go in for a swim, and a muddy river. I nearly ended up swimming with her. It was very close. She's very strong, very tough dog, and went for a long walk with her, and constant trying to keep her close. I had some food with me, and I was treating her every time she did the right thing and sat and did all the good things. And within no time, after recalibrating to what it's like to live with a human and work with a human instead of just being one of many dogs, all her memory came back of sitting and being gentle, but she wouldn't stop pulling on the lead. And it's like the mind. When you try to stop the mind and control it and stop your thoughts, it's just not going to happen. You're just going to be in an endless tug of war. It's exactly the same. And I learned this from Adyashanti, who was a very famous and very good teacher many years ago. I hadn't heard anyone say it, and it's a great analogy. And it's like that. If you try to stop the thoughts, they're just going to keep tugging and tugging and tugging, because what you're doing is a resistance. And resistance is the problem that got you in this situation in the first place. All of us. This endless chatter that distracts us from the moment continuously. And we think we can, because we can resist everything else in the world and adjust it, well, a lot of things, and think we're winning. But this is one of those things that doesn't work. Resistance doesn't actually work anywhere, really. It causes other problems. It's a pressure. When you put a force onto something, the force is going to appear elsewhere. Just like I'm pulling on the dog's lead. I'm forcing it one way, she's forcing the other way. Just like the mind, you try to stop it, force it to stop, and it's going to keep running. But I was in a situation with the dog where I'm in this town I don't know, going for a walk with a dog I don't know. I don't know if she bites people. I don't know if she was going to swim off and not come back. So I used to have a dog like that would swim off and drown before it came back. So I was being cautious with her and getting her to know me a little bit and making friends. And when I brought her back to Perth last night from York, I took her to a place on the river here, a massive, big, open wetland area. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a hidden treasure. I didn't know it existed on this level after walking through it. Absolutely magnificent. And there's dogs everywhere and birds and just this beautiful open expanse. And I let Satch off the lead and she bolted. I was like, oh God, here we go. I thought, I'll give it a go. Here we go. And she just bolted and she's running for her life. And I just called out to her, Satcha, Satcha, and she stopped, turned around and ran back. Sat at my feet and looked up at me, wagging her tail for a pat. And I patted her and stood up and she ran off again, did it like 4 or 5 times. She started looking back and kept looking back. This went on for about half an hour. And about half an hour, 40 minutes of just letting her run free, run around with other dogs, have fun, wag her tail, jump like a maniac. She got a little bit tired because she is a bit overweight. She hasn't been exercised. And she came up and just started walking alongside me with her head right at my knees. And that was it. And I've said this before, this is what we do with the mind. Let it go run. If it wants to run, let it run. It'll give up. It'll come back and it'll stand next to you. Now, instead of being your master, it'll be your servant. Not that this dog's a servant, but you get the metaphor. And it's exactly the same. It's really important. So many people spend decades trying to control the mind. Just let it go. Let it run out of energy. And it might even stop immediately. But this practice is a hidden treasure because it works. And that's the nature of this game. There's so many people studying things that they think might work, but that aren't working. And they don't check in and look to see if it's working or not really. And just like the dog, it'll come back and it'll be your best friend. It'll be an incredible, powerful tool instead of this thing driving you crazy. And all I had to do was let go. I let go of the lead and put some trust in that. Just let's see what happens here. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but let's try. Let's see what happens. And fortunately, it worked. The dog was pulling on the lead because it wasn't used to being controlled and held back and manipulated. So it resisted it and fought it. When it was given freedom to do what it wanted, it gave up on running around like an idiot, like a madman or a mad dog. An untrained mind is a mad dog, an uncontrolled. And we had a beautiful walk together. She went for a little odd run here and there, but she stayed much closer to me. So, and each time we go for a walk now, when she's full of energy and full of beams, which maybe when you get up in the morning, if we're using this metaphor, your mind might want to go for a run. Let it go for a run. Or go jump in a cold shower, which is, a dog running for half an hour. That's like the dog running for 1 minute and achieving the same result. Go jump in a cold shower, or a cold ocean, or a cold pool and achieve the same result. And then let go. But we can hack this. Resistance is futile. Resistance isn't the way. And this is a continual teaching. It's a continual ongoing experience in so many different forms in the world of what works and what doesn't. Resistance doesn't work. Stop it. Stop shaking your fist, as my teacher used to say, stop shaking your fist at God, at what you are. You got it wrong from this tiny little mind that uses 26 letters of an alphabet and mixes them up into different sequences and makes some funny sounds and thinks we run the show or have control over it. It's ridiculous. Is it not? 26 letters is all we've got, and a bunch of combinations to try and work this all out. Just drop it. Let it go. Let that go for a run. Forget it. You don't need to know. You don't need to know. I don't need to know how the dog's going to navigate around another dog. I'm just going to trust that they're not going to collide or attack each other and see what happens. And just watch and enjoy. It was beautiful watching this dog run around in freedom and then come back and relax. So there's a beauty in watching the mind and watching the world and watching everything. Let it be. There's even a beauty in this really weird camera angle. Just have to look hard. Yeah. So simple. And Satya, the dog's name was Satya, S-A-C-H-A. I thought, oh, that's beautiful because I can change that to Satya and she'll still understand it because it's only a very slight change. So I call her Satya now. That's her new name on a microchip. It's S-A-T-Y-A. And Satya is Sanskrit for truth. So every time I call out Satya, I'm calling out truth, truth, truth. So if you hear me talking to Satya and you hear the name, it's a reminder. Because dogs live in truth. They just are. They don't have a phantom concept of who they are, an imaginary concept of how special or unspecial they are. They just are. It's truth. It doesn't have this extra addition hanging on each shoulder, whispering into its ear. It's not on the shoulder, but you know the metaphor from the old cartoons. They're brilliant. It's true. The animal kingdom's in truth. The plant kingdom's in truth. The human condition is illusion. The humans have created an illusionary phantom world. And it runs in parallel with the real world, which blocks it from seeing beyond this world also. And the gateway silence and let go. Letting go of the mind. Let go. Let it go. Don't let go to sleep. Just, I'm joking. If you let go, you'll stay awake. The tamasic energy won't be such a big issue. Go wider, open up more. Expand. Let go. The answer over and over. I could just come here and play you a tape recorder that repeats let go 1,000 times and then make a cup of tea while you watch that. But probably lose my audience pretty quick, I think. A dog's a dog, a cat's a cat. And they've all got their little personalities, and their personalities are okay. They might have a few little bugs in their system, but they don't hate themselves over it. Most of the bugs they've got in their system were given to them by humans and the pain they shared with their dogs. But the dog doesn't have another side next to him going, oh, I really don't like this about myself. I'm going to hurt myself about this every hour for the next 5 years and be negative towards myself. It just is. Even if they've got some bugs in their system, it just is. And this dog's in the pound for weeks. Some of them are there for 6 months, I hear. It's a shed with a few little cages in it. The people there are nice. They're doing their best. They all care for the dogs very deeply. They walk them every day. They give them a lot of care. And none of them get put down at this place, thankfully. I think it takes up to 6 months, but none of the dogs get put down. They do a good job. But I turned up and they had the dog out of its cage and it was in the yard, and I drove up and she's just looking at me. And this dog's so intelligent. It was as if she knew what was happening. As soon as I came in, it was all as if she knew what was happening. And she was just standing there happily waiting. She wasn't in drama, even when even if she wasn't getting picked up. It's just she's here now. They don't have drama. They're not thinking, oh well, I've been in here for 3 months now, or a month, or a week, or it just is. And each day in moment's a moment. So if you got the movie, you get the movie strip films with all the little holes in it, in old school. Get all those images, slice them all up, and there's 1,000,000 per second, let's say. There's a lot more. Let's say there's 1,000,000 per second. And instead of having them all linear, we take all the images out and we stack them on top of each other. Now that's all in the moment, isn't it? Everything's now in the moment. It's not this part of the movie, then that part of the movie. It's all in the moment. It's all vertically stacked in the now. And we're the screen watching the images and more, but we'll just start with the screen for now. Some people already know that. I'm working on them with the next bits privately. But for now, it's I am. We're everything. It's the black belt. That's the start of the game. That's when the game starts, with that understanding. That's when the game truly starts. You get your black belt, the teacher starts teaching you the proper stuff. You can move now. You're functional. You get it. You're honed. You're trained. You see things differently. Well, this is a black belt plus, of course. Much harder to attain. Well, seemingly. That's a personal decision too. For some, it just happens instantaneously. And we all have to accept that may be us at some point. Instead of this long, arduous climb up a phantom mountain. Some people, it just happens very quickly. We've had a couple of people here that just fallen wide open really quickly, without knowing anything about this, or the bare minimum. Knowledge isn't important. It's not necessary. Some teachings you have to, they teach you have to know everything about the psyche and everything about the scriptures and everything about this before you even have a chance. It's just not true. I have evidence. And so do many other teachers. But if it hasn't happened for us yet, we continue to learn and open up and explore ourselves. Come back. Why don't you try sitting up straight? You're looking too comfortable. That's it. Pull out of bed, see? So at first you might be tentative to let the mind go. What will happen? Will it cause harm? Will it get lost? What will happen to me? Will I go mad? Who knows? I don't know what the mind's going to think about being set free. I just know it's probably not going to be accurate. So we have to just try it and do it. And if it works, do it again. And if it works, do it again until it becomes the habit. And that's one habit that can win this game of finding out who we are and what we are before we decided we were a phantom, a ghost. We were taught that by people that thought they were as well. They don't know any better. It's okay. It's all meant to be. It's how it is how it is. You're hearing differently now. And some have had glimpses. So if you've had a glimpse, it's now your experience. We find that again. We let go of it and know it's there and have a little bit more confidence in it, more willingness to perhaps. Or we get high and enjoy the high for while it's there and run around in the world and forget everything we learned and what's going on and lose it all again. Suffer a ton, then come back and start again, which is common too for people that have got this too easily. Haven't had to do the work for it. It's a real trap, that one. It's just how it is. Thinking now they feel good, the world's got a lot more to offer than it did previous to finding this. Oh yeah, it's back out there again because the mind's still trained for outwards instead of inwards. So out it goes and takes what was there and closes it all up again, stitches it back up, sews everything back together. And the suffering begins again. Sad to see, but that's how it is. That's just how things roll. So let go is another word for surrender. If you hear me say surrender, I mean let go. If I say open your heart, it means let go. Your heart's got to be open 24/7, 365. Till you wake up, then it's all now. But until then, we're going to use the time scale. Keep your heart open. Never close it. And if it closes, notice it and wonder why and inspect it. Investigate why. Because if it closed it once, it's probably closed it 1,000 times. And that's what's holding you out in the phantom. And one incident, one pivot point at a time of going from an open state to a closed, we start to deconstruct the things that are closing us and holding us together as an identity. Perceived identity. Let's be clear on that. So there's two aspects of mind, really. There's a functional mind and a dysfunctional mind. The functional mind helps you and helps others to achieve things that are of benefit. And the dysfunctional mind just sits there making noise and causes problems. The gossip circuit, the blah blah circuit, the what's the weather doing circuit when you're not doing anything tomorrow. What do you think about this politics, that politics, blah, 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 on it goes. endlessly finding new things to think about and worry about and do. That's the mind I'm talking about. That's the problem that needs to be let go of. The one, and when that's gone and exhausted itself, you're left with silence and a functional mind. A functional mind will come in and be of assistance as need be. It turns back into what it's supposed to be. Basically, a supercomputer to help you navigate the world and do what you need to do and help who you need to help. And the other one's too exhausted. And then the dysfunctional mind takes a tremendous amount of energy. And as the Toltecs say, and they look at it from the opposite angle, as opposed to emptiness, you need X amount of energy to break through. And if all of your energy is dissipated into just rubbish, whether it's in the physical world or in the mind, you're depleting your energy, and your energy is very valuable. You have to not leak energy. You have to contain it, let it build up and build up and build up until the dysfunction just can't handle the power that it's dealing with. Hunting power, holding power. Like the Eckhart Tolle book, The Power of Now. You know, it's powerful, but you have to harness it by being in it instead of in dysfunction. It is dysfunction. It's madness. Understand this. When you're on the other side, you'll see. It may seem normal now, but it's just not. You'll see on the other side. Wow, how crazy is that? And for a while, it's a little bit shocking. I got it from my point of view. For a while, watching the world function and humans function in the world was a little bit shocking. It took a while to adjust to it. And knowing that I was doing that too. It's like everybody caught the disease and everybody's got the disease, so nobody knows it's a problem. It's a virus. Everyone's got the virus, so nobody notices it's a virus. It's just, that's what people have, red spots on them. Everybody's got red spots on them, so therefore that's normal. You're raised that way. We're taught that way. We're trained to enhance the spots and arrange them correctly. So everyone's got them, so everybody considers it normal. But when you break through and find out who you are and what you are, it becomes quite unusual. Just because everybody's doing something doesn't mean it's correct. So you have to learn to stand alone also. They have to understand this. Don't expect support by people that are enjoying the virus. Expect resistance from them. And let that go too. Let other people's resistance go. They're enjoying the virus. They're enjoying the illness. They don't know any better. And they'll actually fight to defend it because it's enacting through them. That's just how it is. We have to understand that. So that's why we have the importance of a Sangha, as the Buddha taught, you know, the Buddha teachings, the Buddha, and the Sangha, the group of doing the same thing. So you at least have some people around you that understand what you're doing. And you can communicate to them about it. And just, so the African saying, a short journey is quicker alone. A long journey is better done in a group. It's quicker in a group, you know, mutual support. It's wisdom, isn't it? Now how long it takes to organise 10 people to walk a kilometre. My goodness. But if you can get 10 people to do 1,000 kilometres with you, all your resources will come in together and it'll be a very powerful journey, and you'll make it happen and you'll support each other on the long haul. But I'm not going to organise everybody to go down the shops, trust me. Same thing. This is it can be an instantaneous thing, or it might take a little while. So it's best to journey together. Standing alone together, not intertwining with each other and locking each other down, which I see happen to spiritual groups locking each other down, and people that have been studying the scriptures for 5 years longer than the new person, thinking they deserve to wake up first and all that rubbish. Trying to control it. And that's very toxic. We never want to be doing that. We're standing alone and we want everybody around us to wake up. not us. If we want to wake up first, then you're probably not going to wake up, because now you're selfish. And that's something I've seen too, the selfishness of people who've been doing this for a while. We need to be careful of such spiritual traps. They're just another form of suffering that keep us trapped. You know, you got these big spiders with thick spider webs, and you got really small spiders with very fine ones, and you can't see them. That's what spiritual ego and spiritual tricks are like. You can't see them, they're very subtle. So I warn you early. We stand alone but travel together. Okay. And we have fun. The mood of the warrior, a lightheartedness, because hunting ourselves and finding stuff within our nervous system that's not as pretty as we thought, or we've been hiding, we've finally turned around and had the guts to look at it. It can be a little bit morose. It can be a little bit, icky. So the mood of the warrior is a lightheartedness. We have a little bit of a chuckle at the silliness of it all. We don't fall prey to uncomfortableness we find within. And if we do, we try to smile. We talk to one of our friends, or sometimes we just pull back and go and be on our own and be with it. But we don't be the crazy person trying to hold on to the mind and stop these things. We let it go. Let it go. Let it run. When it runs, it disperses. The energy disperses. It gets free. And then the mind, everything can come back to a step to zero again. The dog's next to your legs now. Happily next to your legs, effortlessly next to you. Your mind's this effortless thing with you now, instead of your enemy or your controller, your puppet master. Liberation, freedom, awakening, enlightenment, it can come from here. This is the doorway, silence. Willingness essential. So make sure you're willing. Make sure I don't have to fight for your freedom. If we've got to fight for your freedom, it's going to be a very slow, arduous journey. Let me just assist you with your journey. Well, there's no journey. It's not over there. Understand this. It's closer to you than anything you can possibly imagine. It is you. But we have to talk dualistically, but we have to be reminded of the non-dual. Every word's dualistic, isn't it? I cannot speak without being dual. Even if I say oneness, there's silence and then that word, isn't there? And the idea that was before that word, or the spark before that word, before that too. As one of our members likes to go, and asked, yeah, that's a really good answer. And it's actually just before the shoulder shrug also. It's my favorite answer, apart from someone just looking back at you. Okay. I think it's time for somebody else to have the mic.